Alas, said the mouse, the world is growing smaller every day. At the beginning it was so big that I was afraid. I kept running and running, and I was glad when at last I saw walls far away to the right and left. But these long walls have narrowed so quickly that I am in the last chamber already, and there in the corner stands the trap that I must run into. You only need to change your direction, said the cat, and ate it up.
John Grosse.
I'm stumped, I'm afraid. Take a wild guess at something like Saki.
Now then, Anthony Burgess.
Yes, indeed. It's not a translation. May I ask that question? It is a piece of English literature.
No one said it had to be a piece of English literature.
No.
I think I'll tease you along a little and not tell you.
No, quite. I would say about that period, I would say a very self-conscious imitation of Aesop or La Fontaine, written by a sophisticated man, a man with his eye on the times. Not Saki.
No,
I don't know.
Anthony Blond, you seem to be on the verge.
No, don't know, but it couldn't be Saki, because they're famous stories in the Toby Mori when the cat starts talking. But as far as I remember, the cat only talks to the other people in the room. It's so embarrassing that they finally strangle it. I don't think the mouse chats away.
It's a bit more sinister than that, though, don't you think, this bit?
Is it earlier than that?
No, you're here to say. Bernadine Bishop, you know.
I conveyed absolutely nothing. Nothing at all.
No second thought. It's written by Kafka.
Oh.
Oh.
How clever of Professor Burgess, then, to ask if it was a translation.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
That's why I wouldn't tell him.
Yes.
What's it from? Is it from the diaries, the notebooks? Or is it
I'm
from
going
the
to turn it up and see. It's called A Little Fable.
Nasty little fable, too.
It is. It's like a spoiled epigram.
Is that the whole thing? Is it that little, the fable?
I haven't the remotest notion. No idea. But do you, now you know it's Kafka, and you all said, oh yes, oh yes. Why are you saying, oh yes, oh yes?
Well, I'm not saying oh yes at all, on second thoughts. It doesn't sound like Kafka, really. Kafka can only be appreciated at some length. If you read the diaries that Max Brooke edited, the little epigrams, the little aphorisms that Kafka comes out with are not very telling, very pregnant. You have to appreciate Kafka. You can only appreciate Kafka if you get a long chunk of him with a character suffering at great length and, as in the trial, waiting perpetually for something to come of this long, this endless...
But he's talking about walls, isn't he?
Yes. There is that rather short piece. I can't quite remember what it's from now, but it's about a doorkeeper. It's quite a short piece with something of the rather strongly horrifying tone of this little fable.
I thought he's best at length, though, isn't he?
Oh, not at all.
Well, if he's going to be good at all, if he's good at all, he's good at length. He's good when he can use the peculiar rhythm, peculiar flat rhythms of his prose to lull you into a sense that all this world is real.
Is this read in the original?
Well, in English too, I think.
Hands up anyone who thinks he's a terrible bore.
No, I don't.
No, you obviously
touched
do.
And moved
No, not really. It's just flying a kite.
No.
Now, what touches and moves you about Kafka?
Well, the fear that he has of everything. He's a very frightened man. And these extraordinary long-distance love affairs, when he was sitting on a square and said to his girlfriend with whom he's been corresponding, for heaven's sake, when you do come and see me, don't cross the square, it's direct, just come, or do cross the square so that I can see that you are you. And then, of course, at the last moment left a note and said, I can't face it after all. I think he was the original frightened man of the 20th century, which is why he's so much quoted and so much relished and so
Left
original.
unread.
More to it than that.
Yes.
He's a great allegorist, isn't he? He tells the truth. The story of the trial is a true story. That's the position we're all in. It can be regarded as an allegory of original sin, if you like, but I think the castle presents, allegorically, and with great power, the situation we're all in, the sense that we have to do a particular job, we're given orders to do it, we don't know who's giving the orders, all we know is that they're living in a castle there, God, if you like, the forces that control our lives. I feel that to be true. I feel that to present my own feeling about life, that man is not capable of running it for himself, reason doesn't help, nothing helps.
Except using the self up. possibly, instead of regarding it as, is quite colourable to regard it as a prison, which he does. But if you put it to use, you can get out of it, or have the illusion of getting out of it that way. Do you think so, John?
Yeah, I think that this means that he's not one of the very greatest writers. I mean, King Lear shows people in just such a trap. But inside the prison cell, they are still, you know, three-dimensional people with blood in them. In Kafka, they tend to be rather wan and ghostly before they start. This means, I think, that he's not quite as great as some of his admirers have claimed, but beyond that, I think that he does tell one great truths about the human condition. It's very interesting that one could interpret the trial in an indefinite number of ways. It's not an allegory with one meaning. It's a kind of fable, which does seem to me to correspond to whatever sense of human beings being trapped or imprisoned or frustrated one may have. I do agree with Anthony Burgess, though, that he's much better taken at length when he creates a whole world, when one feels oneself trapped in the world that he's created. Over a short distance, well, like this one, I thought fables without a moral, just almost a bit of wanton cruelty. One needs to get into his world to be convinced by it.
There is that in him. I think the cruelty of the long short story Metamorphosis, in which a young man is turned into a gigantic beetle, and the varied attitudes which his parents take up, pity, loathing, fear, indifference, and so forth. That seems to be both a very powerful summation of the human position, but at the same time it is wanton. It is wanton, and it is sadistic, if you like.
It's as though
there's a desire to be cruel.
Yes, it's as though he's much more interested in having someone turn into a beetle than he is in the responses that might follow.
Exactly.
When you say cruel, don't you feel he identifies with the victim rather than with the persecutor? I mean, isn't he more masochistic than sadistic?
Yeah, masochistic is a better
Well,
word.
sadomasochist.
Yes.
Well,
Nice long word.